Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing an Igknight deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this for you guys because this deck was actually suggested to me by one of my patrons, Zak. And this deck is an awesome pendulum deck that can make some really insane boards. And it's just super fun to be able to play. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards, like getting your name in description every single video, getting a signed cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your patron. And definitely give Zak some love down in the comments down below for suggesting such an awesome deck. So let's get straight on into this one, guys. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Igknight Templar. All of your Igknight monsters in the main deck actually share a common effect, that if you have an Igknight monster in your other Pendulum Zone, you can destroy both cards in your Pendulum Zone, and if you do, add a Fire Warrior monster from your deck or graveyard to your hand, which is a great effect that they all search different warriors from your deck, which is just such a powerful effect because we have so many toolbox Fire Warrior monsters that we can use in this deck to be able to use with that combo, which is just really cool. But Templar is a definite 3 of because it is a level 4 in this deck, which is going to help you make rank 4 plays and also help you link summon, which is just really nice. We then play 3 copies of Paladin. Paladin is also a really good 3 of in the deck because this card also is a level 4, which can help you make rank 4 plays. We then play 3 copies of Crusader. Crusader's a really good 3 of as well in the deck, and none of these cards are once per turn, which is really nice about this deck. We then play 3 copies of Squire. Squire is insanely good as a 3 of in the deck. You want to kind of match your scales as you're going through these cards, which is why you see 3 of a 7 and then 3 of a 2, which is really cool about this deck. We then play 2 copies of Margrave. Margrave is actually a level 5, which comes in handy every so often in the deck, but it does have 2,500 defense points, which is pretty good. We then play 2 copies of Cavalier. Cavalier is insane in this deck. It has 2,400 attack points, which is pretty good about this card. 1 copy of Gallatin and just a single copy of Veteran. These are just really good cards in the deck as well. I feel like this is the perfect number for your Igknights in this particular build because we have so many cool tech warrior monsters for this deck. So that's it for the Igknights, guys. Let's get into the other monsters we're playing in this deck. So for the other monsters, we're going to start off with a single copy of the Phoenix Draco Slayer. This card is really good and actually counts as an Igknight, which is really cool about this deck. And the reason we're playing this card as a 1 of is because it is searchable in the deck because it's a Fire Warrior monster, which is great about this card. The best thing about this card is if you put it in your other Pendulum Zone and you destroy this card with one of your Igknight monster's effects, you'll actually get to special summon a Draco Slayer monster from your deck to your side of the field as a tuner, which is a pretty good effect to just throw a copy of your Majesty Paladin on your side of the field, because this card actually searches field spells and is a spellcaster monster. And one of the cards we actually search off this card is Secret Village of the Spellcasters, which will actually lock down your opponent for spell cards, which is really neat as long as you leave this card on the field. This card is insanely good in the deck and just a really good 1 of to combo with your copy of Phoenix, and is just great in this build. We then play 3 copies of Sublimation Knight. Sublimation Knight is a really awesome 3 of in this build and just helps out a lot in this deck because if this card is normal or special summon, you can equip a Fire Warrior monster to this card from your hand or deck, which is a great effect to be able to use because you're always going to equip your copy of Squeak Knight to this card, because Squeak Knight is actually a Union monster that can special summon itself to your side of the field, which combos amazing with your copy of Sublimation Knight, especially since they're Fire Warrior monsters and searchable off your Igknight cards. This card is really good in the deck to be able to use as your normal summon because it's going to get you 2 warriors on your side of the field, so you can summon out your copy of Awalt, which is going to be able to do a lot of combos in the deck and just really helps out this build a lot. They come in extremely handy. We then play 2 copies of the Therion Bull. Therion Bull is also a Fire Warrior monster and basically a free special summon for the deck because it lets you target a Therion monster or a Warrior monster in the grave, special summon this card in your hand if you do equip that monster to this card, which is a great effect to be able to use on this card just to get you another Warrior monster on this side of the field. Also, it's a level 7, so you can use it for rank 7 plays, which is really nice. We also play a single copy of Reaper. Reaper is really good as a 1 of in the deck. The only thing you gotta watch out for for this card is it does make you target a Therion monster or an Aqua monster in your graveyard to special summon this card. So you always have to target a copy of your Bull to be able to special summon out this card to your side of the field, but that's totally fine because you're basically just using this for rank 7 plays, and it's a really good one-of. If you're not too worried about going into rank 7 plays, you can play a copy of Regulus to give you a negate in the deck, but that card is level 8, which is a little bit of a downside, so you can't go into cards like Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon, but it's still a really good option for this deck. This card is just really good because you're going to use both of these to go into Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon, which is going to get you a copy of Vortex Dragon later, which is just really nice. We then play 2 copies of Fire Flint Lady. This is a great extender in the deck, just to be able to special summon to your side of the field if you control a warrior monster, which is great to help you link climb in this build. We then play 2 copies of Infernoble Knight Renauld. Renauld is great in any warrior deck, and especially in this one, because if you control a fire warrior monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, which is a great effect. Pretty much all we're playing is fire warrior monsters in the main deck, which is great about this card. Just instantly use this card as an extender, but it also combos well with your copy of Awalt. By sending your copy of your Durandal from your deck to the graveyard, you can actually special summon this card from your deck to your side of the field off of Azul's effect, and then grab back your copy of Durandal, getting you another search, which is great to help you link climb in this build, while also getting a search. We then play a single copy of the Immortal Phoenix Gearfried. This card is a great one-of in this build. You only need a single copy of this card because you can search it off your copy of Azul, but it's really good in this deck to have as a walking negate, and it actually works with our equip spells, which is great for this build, which is going to be our copies of our Durandal. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the hand traps that we're playing in this deck. So for the hand traps, we're just going to be playing 3, and that's going to be 3 copies of Ash Blossom. With the combos for this deck, you can establish some really insane fields. Being able to establish 4 to 5 negates being uninterrupted, which is just really cool, but this card just puts the icing on the cake to be able to throw against the opponent to stop them from touching the deck. And it's an awesome hand trap in any format, and just a great card overall. So that's it for the monsters and the hand traps. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're only going to be playing a few spells in this deck, and we're going to start off with a single copy of Rhoda. Rhoda is really good because it helps you search any warrior monster you want from your deck to your hand that's a level 4 or lower. We then play a single copy of the Therion Disc Coliseum. This card is great because it does search out your Therion cards, which is great for this card to be able to do. We then play a single copy of the Secret Village of the Spellcaster. Secret Village of the Spellcaster is a card that we search off our Majesty Paladin, which is great to be able to use in this deck, to be able to just basically lock down your opponent. As long as you have a spellcaster on your side of the field, which the Majesty Paladin is, you can lock down your opponent from using spell cards, which is great about this deck. Being able to just lock down an entire portion of their deck is really good for this build to be able to do. Combo with some other cards, you can basically lock down your opponent where they can't even play, which is just absolutely insane. And this card is great as a one-of in this build. We then play 2 copies of Infernoble Arms Durandal. This is a great searcher for the deck. I feel like 2 is perfect for this build because basically you have to be ability with this card that when this card is equipped to a monster, you can add a level 5 or lower fire warrior monster from your deck to your hand, then destroy this card, which is great to be able to use this card to search out more of your Igknight cards or even search out more of your extenders for this deck, and it's a great 2-of in this build. I don't feel like you need 3 because it bricks a little bit at 3, and you're always going to be able to get to it with your copy of Renauld, so 2 is totally fine. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to start off with 2 copies of Azul. Azul is a definite 2-of in this build because Azul just helps out so much, because on summon it lets you add a warrior monster from your deck to your hand, and then it's also going to let you summon out a copy of Renauld directly from your deck by sending a copy of Durandal from your deck to the graveyard, which will in turn let you grab back that copy of Durandal off the Renauld's effect, which is great because then you get a search of a fire warrior, which is really good for this deck. This card is super easy to go into because any 2 Igknight monsters get you to a copy of your Sublimation Knight, which you can then normal summon and summon out Squeak Knight, and then go for this card, which is really great for the deck. We then play a single copy of Access Code Talker. Access Code Talker is just really good in this deck to be able to pop multiple cards on the field. It's just an insane insanely powerful boss monster for the deck. You can play Boral Sword, but this card is just really good to be able to pop multiple cards on the field. We then play a single copy of Appaloosa. Appaloosa is how we establish multiple negates on the field, and this card is really good in the deck as a 1-of because you can put this card on the field really easily and have multiple monster negates and combo with your copy of Secret Village of the Spellcaster. While Secret Village of the Spellcaster is turned on, you're basically locking down monster effects and you're locking down spell cards, which is really good. We then play a single copy of Draco Masters of the Tenyi. This card is great for its arrows for when you pendulum summon, and it also works with the Igknights extremely well because it cannot be destroyed by battle and effect monster, and if you control no effect monsters, then you can destroy effect monsters your opponent controls up to the number of non-effect monsters that you control and or in your graveyard, which does work with your Igknight monsters because they are just normal monsters. We then play a single copy of Nightmare Unicorn to spin stuff. This card is just great in the deck. One copy of Selene. Selene is also a card that you usually do leave on the field, which is really good about this card because this card is a spellcaster monster, which works with Secret Village of the Spellcasters. And this card is great to be able to bring back cards to your side of the field. But the reason that we actually use this card is because we actually use it because it's a spellcaster and for all three of its downward arrows. We then play a single copy of Nightmare Phoenix. This card is great because it pops spells and traps on the field. It's just a really good card overall. One copy of Beyond the Pendulum. Beyond the Pendulum is just great in this deck because it does work extremely well with your Pendulum cards. One copy of IP Masquerena so we can make our copy of our Unicorn during the opponent's turn, or even Appaloosa during the opponent's turn, which is really nice. One copy of Link Spider. Link Spider is great because you can link away one of your Igknight monsters, put this card on the field, and then special summon out another Igknight monster that's a level 4 lower normal monster from your hand to your side of the field, and then make a copy of, say, your IP Masquerena, which is really good. Or you can't make IP, but you can actually make other cards, which is just really good, like Beyond the Pendulum, because IP actually requires 2 non-link monsters, but you can make cards like your Beyond the Pendulum, which is just really good. We then play a single copy of number 106, Giant Hand. Giant Hand is really insane in this deck to be able to just put on your side of the field as a negate. It's really insane how easy it is to put this card on your side of the field. It's just a really good card in this build. We then play a single copy of Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon. Absolute Dragon is absolutely amazing to help you summon out your copy of Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon. It's very easy to make with your 2 copies of your Therion monsters, and it's a really good card in this build. We then play a single copy of the Draco Berserker of the Tenyi. Draco Berserker of the Tenyi is the best rank 8 or level 8 synchro monster that you can make in this deck, and this card actually banishes monsters from the field, which is just really good, and I love this card. It can also help you go in for game, and it's super easy to make in this deck. We then play a single copy of Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon. Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon is just a good 1-of that you can summon off of Absolute Dragon's effect, and it's just a good walking negate in this deck. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played Igknights before, you should definitely give this deck a try because it's really fun to be able to play. And you can make some really insane boards, comboing out your copies of Azul, and even bringing out Giant Hand and Secret Village of the Spellcasters is usually what you end on, which is really, really good. So, anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.